Cool, cool. Well, welcome back to RockEyez and John Blaze, Scarecrow. Congratulations on the new tune. I love it, Twisted.
Cool.
Like the video, I really, really enjoyed the song.
Cool.
Listened to it quite a bit. I posted a couple times on different platforms and stuff like that. And
Awesome.
you know, I feel your vocals kind of like jumped the octave compared to other tunes I heard. Is that true, or do you feel not that way?
Wow, that's a great question. So, first of all, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a long time. We have history together, don't we?
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. We go back. You
We
know,
go, we do go back, and we'll touch on that. You know, the vocals back in the day, I had a certain range. And then as the years went on, I kept pushing and working with two different vocal coaches to
uh,
kind of bring my range up a little bit higher.
right.
Um, there are certain elements of processing that we're using
Uh,
to change the texture because I wanted this track to be a little bit more modern, you
right.
might say. That's what the loops are about and things like that. So it's a little bit of a departure where I kind of see Scarecrow going in 2026.
Right. Yeah. Cool, cool. Now, are you working on a full length album, an EP, or just dropping the single for now?
Just dropping the single for now. You know what really prompted it is, I've been friends with the guys from Twisted for so many years,
Uh,
obviously. And so I had written a song years ago called Twisted.
uh,
And then when they did their reunion, when they announced it, I was like, oh, we have to put this to music. So
uh,
we went in and carved it out. So I just really decided to do the one song, release it. There's two others that are planned right now,
uh.
but nothing for a full length record at the moment.
Now, your first show was in September of '89 uh, at the Sundance,
Right.
and that has history with Kiss. So, did you have any kind of feeling, or you didn't know about that? Kiss plays,
No, no,
yes,
what is that?
Kiss, the band Kiss.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they played Sundance because they saw ads and stuff like that, and back in the day, early day, you know.
I I didn't know that. I know they played a place called the Daisy
Yeah,
on
yes,
Long
yeah, yeah,
Island. I think that was like one of their first gigs.
right, yeah,
So
wow,
Sundance was probably one of the biggest rock clubs back in that day, and
right,
we were working with Frank Cariola, uh,
uh,
who owned the club, and he took us on as management. He's passed now, but he was a really really great guy. But that show was really kind of cool because the first incarnation of Scarecrow started with Eddie Ojeda from Twisted Sister.
right,
It was me, Eddie, guy Jim Harris, and Rick Anthony on bass.
right, yeah, cool, cool, cool. Now,
Yeah.
in the real early days, like '89, '90, your music seemed more like not glam, but more poppy, right? And
Yep.
then you went a little bit darker as
Yep.
time went on and stuff like that, and a stage show, uh,
Yep.
stuff like that. So tell me, how was the stage show back then?
So there's kind of there's a few iterations. I don't know if that's the correct word of Scarecrow.
Right,
Okay. So when it first comes out, it's your typical, and I hate to say this, but your typical hair band
right,
kind of thing.
uh-huh,
Um, Bombastic, big hair, big shoes, glam rock, in your face, um, guitar heavy, orientated with big hooks.
right,
And then Eddie Ojeda kind of leaves the band. We bring in another guitar player, which eventually leads to this guy, TJ Jordan, who I'm still with after 20 plus years. And then we take a little bit more of a darker direction because we're seeing bands like uh, maybe Pearl Jam coming, rising up, Stone Temple Pilots. So we're experiencing like the detuning kind of method, you know.
Right.
And so there was an album that we released that was more of that kind of side. And then there was a break. And then I hooked up because of my friendship with Dee for many years. We went out and did a project called Van Helsing's Curse. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but
I did.
it
Mhm.
was a full stage production.
Right.
And so my influences obviously are Kiss and Alice Cooper, and this Scarecrow character was always supposed to have makeup and be very dark, and there's a story behind it. So right at the time of Van Helsing's Curse, that came off the road, and I went out and did a project called I Am Scarecrow.
Uh-huh.
And that was basically full makeup with a whole storyline. And the makeup has significance to it that the character's eyes were sewn shut, and it had a whole storyboard to it. And now we're coming back into the 2026s, and I'm trying to bring in my love of other artists like Rob Zombie or something like that,
Right.
where you have this kind of locomotion of a sound.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of the different variations of what the band went through.
Okay. Now, I have a listing of some of your albums, your releases, and stuff like that. I want to go over them, and I want you to tell me a little bit about each album and stuff like that. I got Scarecrow, your self-titled album in '92.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that album.
So you're going to tax my memory, right?
Yes,
Is what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
try
yeah.
and do?
Catch
Okay.
up, yeah.
So memories these days, thank knock wood, is pretty good. So
That's good.
I think I can do this. um, so that first album, what you're really hearing is all the demo tapes that were recorded to try and get a record deal,
Right.
basically. So
Mhm.
it gets released as a first album, but that happened in sequences. Recording three songs, putting it out there. Okay, no bite, three songs, putting it out there. This guy's interested, three songs. And so it took place over, at least a year time period, almost 2 years.
Right.
And then the business was shifting away from hair bands and people
Uh-huh.
getting signed. And so we put it out. So that's when we gave it to Red Light Records.
Right.
And they basically, that was a label deal, but I think it was more of a distribution deal, if my memory serves me. Now, that's where you were, right?
Right.
You were with, was it Mark Noir and things?
Um, no,
Who
that
was it?
name don't ring a bell.
Okay, but it was with Red Light or
Right. Uh-huh.
crazy. And did you do the artwork or something you were saying, or what did you do back then?
Well, mainly I was a photographer for Megaforce, actually.
Okay, gotcha.
You know,
Cool.
and then I went on the way and I hooked up with a guy named Frank White, who's a known photographer. And
Cool.
then I worked for Metal Forces magazine, a whole bunch of magazines and stuff like that.
Oh, very cool.
So
Cool.
Scarecrow actually came out in US and Japan, right?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And
Um,
I wish I knew anything about Japan,
right.
and I wish I knew how we did, but we're one of those typical stories. We give it to a record company, they release it.
Right.
I have a copy of it, looks so cool,
Uh-huh.
and I always was curious to see, you know, how that audience took to it
Right.
because I never really got a chance to go over there or get feedback, but I thought it would have been pretty cool. I mean, you had Cheap Trick and Live at Budokan and
Right.
all
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I would imagine we would have had a great time over there.
Cool, cool. I was checking out the Japanese release today, and that thing's going for $140 now.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus. Oh
yeah,
my goodness. Do you think, like, how do we find out if people know us, you
right,
know,
yeah,
or I would love to find out. You know, we were the typical deals of, you know, not hearing any feedback from the record companies. So
right, yeah,
we never really, you know, obviously never made a penny from any of it.
yeah.
Uh, Still kind of to this day. So it's
Wow,
weird that an album that I did would
yeah,
go for that.
yeah,
And the money just goes like out into space
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I was checking today, $140. Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Tell tell me about this other A Touch of Madness,
Right,
1995.
right. So we're kind of after the first record, we're out there kind of pounding away, doing some clubs, went through some other lineup changes. Um, the bass player, Billy, I think his name was from Brittany Fox, was
Uh-huh.
with us
Yeah.
for a short time. No, very, very nice guy. Um, so we got approached to do a second record, and we went up to, if memory serves me correctly, up to Rochester, New York.
Uh-huh.
And we actually approached it like a real record.
Hmm.
So what do I mean by that? We had, you know, 2 weeks solid in a recording studio,
Right.
and we were able to do it that way, go back to the hotel, write some new things, go back into the studio. And that was a really good experience, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then I heard this piece in Shelter, and a nice young lady came in and played a piano part for us. So that was a really cool experience and a great record.
So then in 1999, Sins of Scarecrow.
Sins of a Scarecrow. So
Yeah.
that's basically that's where I start turning into the character of the
Hmm.
of I Am Scarecrow. So
Right.
there's one song on there called I Am Scarecrow where I tell the story
Yeah.
of kind of who I am. And that was actually just an EP of
Uh-huh.
3 songs.
Right.
It was Welcome to My Mind, No Place Like Home, and I Am Scarecrow.
Cool.
And
Then
then
in 2012, also Blood, Sweat, and 20 Years, 14 tracks.
got it. So
Right.
that is technically album 1, 2, and 3 together, kind of the best of, you know.
That got to be an awesome album. I mean, you get all three albums into one, you
Yeah.
know?
A couple of the songs were missing, so I had to take out certain things, but we kind of picked the best tracks we thought from 1, from 2, and from the I Am Scarecrow sort of EP release that we did, you
Right.
know. Yeah,
Now, I Am Scarecrow came out in 2014. Is
yeah,
that when it was a full-blown stage show?
correct. And we actually had like a residency in New York,
Uh-huh.
off Broadway. It was kind of cool. We played at a place called Times Scare.
Right.
It was a it was an old haunted building that
Uh-huh.
they converted into a theater, and we had like a residency there that we would do. I think it only fit, it was intimate. I think it was under 1,000 people, but
Uh-huh.
we did well, and it I have it filmed somewhere that I never even put it out yet. And
Right.
then we took it to different theaters, like on Long Island and New York, but never really broke past the East Coast
Right. Yeah.
because it was a full production with a full cast.
Right. Yeah.
And you can imagine how expensive those things could get, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Definitely. Now, 13 years before this new Twisted came out. You know, what'd you do during all that time? I'm sure it's not easy to break into music. I mean, forget it. You
You
know,
know, I think during that time, so first of all, I never stopped. Let's put
right,
it that way, right? Even if you don't release anything,
right.
it's in your heart. It's who you are. I think you go through different phases. What I saw start to happen is music shifting into, very poppy kind of girl bands. It got, and so I kind of said, well, that's not for me.
Right.
And then I saw a shift, which I have no, I can't say anything bad about, but tribute bands
Oh
started.
yeah,
Yeah. And once I saw that, I said, well, this is really not for me.
me
You
neither. Me neither.
know, and and again, no disrespect if that's what you want to do, but I just found it really sad where, an impersonator could be making $5,000 a night, and the guy writing his own songs from his heart can't make $250
It's the
in a
truth.
nightclub.
Yeah,
So I think that got me kind of really sunk
right.
down a little bit. And then, of course, doing regular jobs in the music business and stuff. I got to work with a big record producer, this guy, Rick Wake.
Mhm.
Um, and I was behind the scenes as a production guy for Mariah Carey, Taylor Dane, Celine Dion.
Oh,
So we were behind the scenes doing that kind of stuff. And then again, something just sparked somewhere along the line in staying in touch with Dee all the time, just to put out the new release.
right. Wow, wow. It's
Yeah.
you know, do you foresee any shows coming up?
Yes,
Yeah, cool.
but but sporadically.
Right,
Does
yeah.
that make sense? So what we're hoping, I have no delusions of grandeur. I like to stay in the game. I want to stay relevant. I want to be part of the community that I've loved my whole life. So what I'm hoping to happen is putting a release out there and getting it to radio through promotion companies that I'm working with, this guy Munzie from Skateboard Marketing, and with hopes that maybe there's a college radio station playing it somewhere over here, or Hair Nation picked it up, or somebody picked it up and it's being played over there. And then I would go out and play just sort of that town.
Right.
And then they're submitting us for some other awards coming up, the Josie Awards.
Uh,
So we're waiting to hear if we get nominated for that. If that happens, go down to Nashville, do one show.
mm,
And it's funny because Eddie Ojeda, we're still in touch. He lives in Nashville, and I would love to have him on stage with us to play a
that'd be
couple
cool.
of the Scarecrow songs. So, you know, and maybe Dee will sing a song here and there. We'll see what happens.
Right, yeah. Wow, wow.
Cool.
So how hard is it for a new artist to break into music?
I think it's almost next to impossible.
I would think so, because I know how many emails I get a day of
Yeah,
people looking for press and stuff like that. And
it's
between 200 and 300 emails. That's
yeah,
one day.
it's next to impossible. When I was behind the scenes, I acted as A&R for the company also. And I would get tapes myself all day long and listen to them. But now, I think what's happened where I think it's really super, super difficult is you have all these shows like American Idol and The Voice. And I think what it does, it puts out to the world that everybody wants to be a musician now,
Right,
and the influx is it's overwhelming.
right, yeah.
And now when you say break into, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so changed that you just release your own stuff via Spotify, and that's how you break.
Right,
And I think maybe if you get the 100,000 views
right.
is when you can actually enter the music business or get recognized, you know, it's a very, very, very changing world.
Right, yeah. Do you think artists are spoiled these days compared to back in the day? Really, back in the day, you had to work to get. You
Yes,
got to mail out a press kit. That's money. You got to
yes,
make this cassette, right?
yes,
A cassette back then.
yes,
Now you just push a button.
yeah, yeah. Don't get me started on that. No disrespect. You know, I think I watched one of the other shows the other night, and I don't watch them, but I'll flip and see what's going on. And I saw a young, the kid singer, must have been, 21
Right.
and was crying and saying, I've wanted this my whole life. I've worked for this.
Uh,
And it's like, we used to drive trucks where the wheels were falling off. I played 36 nights in a row, 3 1-hour sets a night, and we would roadie.
right.
We'd set up our equipment, go in the back and get dressed, sing 3 1-hour sets, break down and go do it again.
Right.
And then some, then, yeah. So, yeah, spoiled is not even the word for it.
Oh, cool. Do you feel the music like is revamping itself from back in the day when you were around, and then it went to grunge and like
Yeah.
all this other kind of stuff, and now this kind of music you just put out with Twisted is
Yeah.
back again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm digging where it's going, to be
Uh,
honest with you. And I'm hoping Twisted is in there with some of those guys because I like a lot of the stuff. And I like a lot of the bands that are um again, I'm a Kiss guy, Alice Cooper.
me
I
too.
mean, I once heard somebody say it. I forgot who coined the phrase that it's show business. It's like it's a show. Don't forget the word show. So I
Right,
never was really a fan, even though I like some of the music like Soundgarden because I loved his voice. But but just dressing, normal, getting on stage, I think it should take a whole different direction. It should be a show. So
right.
like bands like stuff like In This Moment, the girl, what she's
Oh yeah.
doing,
Hmm.
I just dig it. I like the visual, I like the aggressiveness, I like the makeup, I like the larger than life. So there are a few bands out there that I really like.
Cool, cool. Me as a photographer, I want to see a show too. I don't want to see the jeans and the t-shirt. I mean, I could photograph 10 shows and someone would ask me, what show is that? I go, how do I know? They're all the same,
They
right?
look the same. Now
Right,
you have to have something that separates you from the pack a little bit.
right. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Cool.
Same thing with physical copies. So back in the day was 45s and albums, and then it
Right,
went to CD and
right.
downloads, and now vinyl's coming back again, right?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you happy about that?
I am.
Yeah,
Yeah. I especially like it that I've been seeing people, buying record players for their
right.
houses and stuff now. There was, listen, we're older guys. We're not going to hide from that. There was something about still the analog sound,
Right.
you know, putting a record on and hearing the popping and the little dirt and stuff
Uh,
like that. That to me was totally magical. I would love to do that, like I was going to make a picture disc of Twisted or something, but I don't even know how because there's no Sam Goody anymore or anything. I don't
yeah,
even know how you sell it. You have to just do it online. But part of the magic that I think is missing, even from the whole industry, is when you knew a new Kiss record was coming out, you'd run to the store and
Right,
you'd look for it on the shelf and you'd held it in your hand. There
right.
was nothing better than that. That was so cool.
Cool,
So
cool.
cool.
Well, being in Scarecrow, what was your favorite time and most memory of a great time in Scarecrow?
I think there's probably two best times.
Uh-huh,
Um, the first would be when it first started,
uh-huh,
okay, like the inception of it,
right,
because Twisted was just breaking up and me and Eddie Ojeda were friends. And we said, let's start this thing. And he's a monster riff guy.
right,
And when we started just writing those first songs together and then hitting the stage, that was really cool. But I got to tell you, it's so short-lived. It lasted, 3 months,
right,
and then poof, it's like that.
right,
And then I think the next best time, the rest of the stuff is cool, but hard to get gigs. And then the next was when we did the residency in New York for the Am Scarecrow, because we had Mark Wood joined us from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We had this guy Jordan on drums, who's now with Slaughter, and it was a monster, you know, to see 15 people on stage, and I had plants in the audience and come up and we'd kill somebody. That was really pretty neat. But again, short-lived.
right, right. With the new, Scarecrow,
Right.
do you feel uh I don't know if it's the word is better, but in control of everything that you do because you're the main product
Hmm.
and there's no really record labels no more.
Yep.
There's no music stores no more. You
Yep.
got to do everything yourself.
Yep.
Even I mean, you could have had your friend do the video. I don't know who did the video, but I
Yep.
mean, everything's in your control. Does
Yep.
that feel better to you?
No.
No, you rather have the record company do everything?
Yeah,
Uh,
because there are some people who want to do it all, that they're control, they want to be in control. And I liked it much better when you sort of had a team or an entourage, let's say. You know, it was a very cool time where there was an A&R guy who was in your court and a
right,
president label over here and a publicist over here and this video guy saying, this, and a wardrobe person saying, I think you should wear this tonight. When you had all those elements, that was much more magical than sitting at a computer and saying, I'm going to do this today or do
right,
that. It's very isolating. It's kind of depressing.
right,
I
yeah,
don't, I don't dig it. I'm a people person. I love people and I love creative people and I love people surrounding me.
right.
So, to be isolated and try and do it on your own, you have
Mhm.
more control. But by the
Right.
same token, I think part of the magic comes from other people's input, if that makes sense.
Oh, cool. So you said you're going to have two more songs. Are you already working on them, or can you tell me anything about them? Two other songs that might
Um,
come.
the everything that I'm doing going forward is going to continue. I'm not going back to the 80s without the makeup.
Uh,
Anything I'm going to start doing is going to keep going forward. And I'm hoping that it goes forward even more radical and more radical and more radical. So the next single that I'm working on, is called The Monster in Me. And it's 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 another it's going to come out that the Scarecrow character, he's not very nice, and he's going to start getting a little more evil. you know so, and I want to be clear about something. I'm not, I like to talk about Scarecrow as him, you know
Right,
what I mean, and me as me. And there was in the early days, it was John Blaze and Scarecrow, and now I'm trying to get it to a point where Scarecrow is that guy,
right,
and what would he do? And
right.
why is he feeling that way? So I'm going to keep trying to pushing those envelopes even further. And really what I'm hoping to do too, like with the song Twisted, I love film, I love movie, I love horror movies, and is to try and get it into a film or
Right.
do a video that is going to be more of a film than a music video.
Oh. With the new song Twisted, have you got any good feedback, or you got any feedback at all?
I've been having great feedback, and that's not speaking egotistically or anything like that.
Right,
Matter of fact, before it was even done, I had, when it was in its early infancy, when I was still recording it, that's when I sent it to Mark Wood, and that's when I sent it to Dee Snider. And, I value their friendship, and I value their opinion. And
right,
when they came back to me and said, I really would like to be part of it and play on it,
right,
that to me kind of validated it. It
right,
definitely has it has a contemporary feel that it fits in.
right,
I think it's fun. I think it's uplifting. I think it's commercially viable. So the responses I've been getting are really cool. And I don't often find myself like singing my own songs,
right.
but that one I'll walk around the bridges and the chorus. I'll just kind of do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a great track, you know.
Thanks.
Hopefully everybody checks it out, supports it, and
Oh,
congratulations once again on the new track, Twisted.
thank you.
Um, great chat. Would you like to say anything to the fans out there before we end?
You know, remember me. How about that?
Definitely, definitely. I
You
mean,
know, it's been a long ride, and there was a hiatus in there. You know, I'm part of the community, and even though you take a break, you never really leave it. So, you know, all of these people, everybody, when I see anybody playing still, it's like, remember me. I have charts of us back in the day, that it was White Lion, Scarecrow,
all right,
and yet people don't remember. So maybe one day we'll see.
all right, cool, cool. Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate the chat.
Nice seeing you again. Thanks, Brian.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.